My subscribers are the coolest people in the world. That's not just generic YouTuber talk, it's been proven in a study by the very well-respected Dr. Schmerico. But in order to check that the study was accurate, I went on another TeamSport Coventry race, and a few of you were there on track with me and my friends. And what a banger it was. Welcome to Perico Karting, and today, I try not to publicly embarrass myself in front of my friends and my subscribers. I already went over the track layout in the first Coventry video I made, where I found myself fighting through a plethora of backmarkers all race, but the majority of people on this grid are members, experienced racers, or both. It was also my first opportunity to finally be on track with both Karting with Josh and Karts Against Humanity, and you should absolutely subscribe to them both. Links are in the description. Anyway, I am dying to get this started, so let's just get on the grid and get ready. Wait, where are the lights? Oh, there they are. I had to crane my neck a little bit there. And the lights go green, and let's go racing. Now, starting in P11 on the outside means that turn 1 is a right mess. I lose 2 positions straight off the bat, but managed to claw 1 back from Karting with Josh on the outside right there. In front of me, EMR got a nice start, which means that he's gained a position on me already. So now I just need to follow the pack, down the down ramp, where fortunately nothing treacherous happens this time around. All I need to do is just make it through the first lap, nice and safe, so that I can start making some moves when the pack space is out. Josh behind me gets a bit overzealous, misjudges the braking points into the first hairpin, gives me a lovely little boost before trying on the inside, but I have the straight line speed to get by. Now we're coming towards the pit straight, so I take the right-hander just before it and end up 3 wide with the 2 karts next to me. It's a very stressful situation to be 2 wide in a place with a track like that, but EMR in front of me wins out. He starts making some fantastic progress in front of me, and that's the first lap of the race. Up ahead of me, Jack loses his rear end, which means the EMR has to react, puts me side by side to him, but he's got the inside coming to the down ramp. This leaves a little gap for Karting with Josh to try and move, but I just managed to squeeze my way back through and keep my position. But right here, Jack attempts to go for a gap that isn't there, which means that it causes a bit of a scuffle, and through the recovery process, it means that they both go disappearing into the distance, giving EMR a bit of an advantage. He finds the inside and overtakes Jack, so now I need to do the same. Now, Jack has done a fantastic job holding me off in these first couple of corners, but his time is about to come because as we come sailing down the down ramp, he misjudges the braking, goes incredibly deep, and just opens the door wide for me to go straight through. But he's not going to give that up without a fight because we come to these hairpins and he throws it down the inside. Fortunately, that means I have the inside line, I'm able to hold my position, and I've finally got past him. But kudos to you, Jack. That was one hell of a ballsy move. Up ahead right now is Jack's other half. This is Sophie, and she's actually doing a fantastic job at actually keeping me behind her. She holds the inside line and then hugs the apex really tightly, absolutely refusing to open a gap. I've got more raw pace, but she's doing a lot of defensive moves, which is actually really helping her to hold her position here. Unfortunately for her, she's about to make the exact same mistake her boyfriend did, just in a different corner. She goes incredibly deep through that corner, opens the door wide open, and up ahead is Ellis and Josh, so let's see if I can catch up to those two now. One thing I've been practicing in racing games, I'll admit, is trying to catch people under braking, and that's exactly what I do to Josh here, where I cover basically an entire corner's worth of distance to catch up to the back of him. He leaves the door wide open for me to get straight through. I'm able to shut him out at the next 2 hairpins. And this one is especially sweet, because I can never catch up to Josh on pace in any other race, so to overtake him, especially with a ballsy move like that, I'm gonna savor that one. I say the darndest things while I'm racing, and this is a prime example. I'm chasing Ellis here, and I gain a lot of ground under braking, so I say so, subtly. I'm very much feeling myself throughout this race, but there is a bit of a battle going on between EMR and LeFrog. Sorry, I forgot your real name. I am absolutely terrible with names, but I know you might be in my Discord server. Ellis looks behind him and sees me. I'm not sure what he's thinking in that moment, but I sincerely hope it was, oh god, how the hell has he done that? I make my first attempt at a move after this down ramp. I look for a gap. The gap closes quicker than I expect. I accidentally give him a bit of a shunt, and that slows me down. That really hampers my chances in this chase, and as you can tell, EMR has finally pulled away from LaFrog, which means that he's going to start gaining some positions, but I just need to focus on getting past Ellis. Ellis is constantly on the lookout for me, constantly glancing over me. I'm looking for the space to get by, and he's making sure to defend as much as he can. He's got a lovely inside line coming into the first corner, and he's a kart's length ahead, which means that he's secured that position for now. But now he's totally on the defense to keep me behind him, as you can see by the fact that LaFrog is starting to pull away. I'm prodding at his defenses, looking for any gap I can possibly find, but at the moment, I'm not quite making anything stick. I kind of lose the back end a little bit. Whoever was behind me there almost got a sniff, but I made sure to close that out immediately. Bit of a messy entry into that hairpin there, but I'm still hot in the chase, and LaFrog is starting to slow Ellis back down again because Ellis started going back onto the attack once I'd opened it up enough of a gap. He gets a little bit of an awkward entry into that apex there. I'm just looking for any defense I can, and LaFrog throws it immediately to the inside of the next corner, which means that he actually stays ahead, putting me side by side with Ellis. I'm starting to see my opportunity. That's karting with Josh on my inside, still very much in the fray, and LaFrog closes Ellis out, causing him to get a bit of friction with the barriers. Ellis leaves a lovely little gap on the inside open for me, which means I'm able to secure that overtake, and now it's time to try and get LaFrog. It feels weird saying LaFrog out loud, I'll be honest. But Mr. Froggo is absolutely no slouch because he's keeping his eye on me right there. He's covering every single potential attack I make. He sees me go for the inside, covers it off. I accidentally give him a nudge, which bogs me down a little bit. I'm just going to try for a switchback right here, but again, he's on a really solid defensive line. So I'm actually really struggling to get by this guy. His defensive driving is absolutely top-notch. But you know that I'm not going to spend the entire race stuck behind him. I'm going to find my way through right here, actually, because he goes deep into this corner. I just managed to get ahead at the next corner, which means I'm able to shut him out at these hairpins, and that's another overtake secured. I am absolutely blazing through this race. Now, I've had a quiet little lap and a half after I overtook LaFrog, but up ahead of me is the guy who gave me the hardest challenge of this whole race. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Kiefer. He's not a new addition to our group, but he is a new addition to these videos because he's usually racing elsewhere, namely Midland Karting, where he's absolutely dominating the championship. And now I'm entering a battle with him to try and gain position, and trust me, he will not relinquish this without a fight. It looks like it's a done deal right here, but he fights his way through as quickly as he can. I leave the door wide open right there after the overtake was basically done, and this basically starts one of the most grueling fights I've had since Leicester. This guy absolutely is on the ball. He's constantly covering the inside whenever he needs to, but as you can probably tell, I'm giving him lovely little bumper nudges just to remind him I'm there, just to put extra pressure on him. I did this a lot for several laps. No matter how much distance Kiefer thinks he can get away from me after defending, I will gain that ground and I will remind him that I am there. An example of Kiefer's defensive driving comes right here, where he starts taking every corner on the inside line as tightly as he can. The most impressive part is right here, where he goes down the down ramp on the inside, hugs the apex the entire way round, and still comes out of the corner with a decent amount of speed. He's still hogging the center of the track. He's still taking the corners on the inside line. He's jeopardizing his own speed, and I'm doing my best to chase him, but I'm constantly giving him slight little nudges, not to throw him off or to bump past him, just to remind him I'm there. I try and get side by side with him here, but I just don't have enough space, and I continue trying to chase him. I make up a lot of ground through that corner. That corner right there was actually my strongest, but again, another little nudge. I'm still behind him, still trying to harass him, and the fight continues. I go incredibly deep through this corner to try and carry a bit more speed. He covers off the inside yet again, going through this corner, still manages to basically wrap the kart around the apex, and actually gets a better exit than me at that time. He is really good at what he does. Like I said before, he absolutely dominates the Midland Karting Championship, so to overtake this guy would be incredibly sweet. I give him another nudge just to, really remind him I'm there, pile on the stress. That nudge just there probably actually gave him a bit of a boost through that corner, so that probably wasn't the right thing to do. He holds the inside line through this corner, immediately moves over to the inside line on the next corner. This has been a fight for the ages for me so far, because all I want to do is get past him, because that in itself would be a personal win for me. Again, he goes straight for the inside, but this time goes a little bit wider than before, and I'm able to get a little bit more speed than he does, but I'm still on his tail. I'm still within a kart's width of him. I am absolutely not going to give this up. I get a better exit than he does out of here. We're basically bumper to bumper. I look for the inside. Probably not my best move there, because I do actually throw him off his game a little bit. I go for the inside, but I don't have enough space, so I give him yet another nudge and more space. He immediately ducks for the inside. He's holding the inside line through absolutely every corner. And yes, it's been 4 laps of this. I'm amazed I've been able to speak for 4 laps straight and not fluff a single word. But here he is, still ahead of me, still defending in the exact same way. He starts taking regular racing lines, and ironically, going wider on that corner actually made him go wider on his exit. I look for the inside there. He closes that off. I give him yet another nudge, and we're still fighting. I'm still looking for my way through. It's evident at this point that I have more raw pace than he does, but his defending racecraft is absolutely holding me back. Another nudge. I can't imagine what's going through his head currently. I look for the inside there, accidentally send him out of the way, but he's still holding the inside line there. I can't go for the switchback because he's too far ahead of me, but I just managed to thread it through right there, and finally I got ahead of him. It might have been a little bit touch and go, a little bit bumpy, but all I needed to do was get by, and that was one hell of a fight to do so. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wow, we're 21 laps into a TeamSport race and there hasn't been any incidents. Well, guess what? It's now up to our good friend Jack here to remind us exactly where we are. He decides to park himself directly on the apex of turn 1, which means it goes yellows for a little bit as the marshal very quickly kicks him out of the way and then commences the rest of the race. It's only been the first half of the race so far, and that's where most of the action has been, but even though I lose it here on this down ramp, not a whole lot actually happens for quite a few more laps. It starts getting a bit quiet for me. I see 2 people ahead of me in the distance that I believe I need to pass, and I believe those 2 are actually Will and Karts Against Humanity. So I just need to keep my head down, keep focusing, keep driving, and catch up to the back of them. Time for the biggest time skip you've ever seen. 7 laps later. No, I don't have chameleon powers. These are not my hands. This is the perspective of Karts Against Humanity, who is currently in a bit of a battle with Will up ahead, and I am hot on the trail. These 2 fighting has meant that I've been able to catch up to the back of both of them, and I am about to pull one of the best moves I've done in a while on poor Karts Against Humanity here. I throw it to the inside of the final corner, which means he's basically on my inside on the next corner, so I brake early, and I find the slightest gap through him to pull off the slickest switchback I've ever done. What a move! What a move! I'm very proud of that one, and I want to see that one again from Karts Against Humanity's perspective. No! Hello! I couldn't resist flashing him a little cheeky hang loose as well. I'm sorry, mate. Now it's time to try and get past Will. I try and get a move done on the inside of that corner, and then he closes me out on the next one. He knows a fight's on his hands, so he starts giving me a little bit of on-track banter, and I respond with my own more brusque form of on-track banter. But now the chase is on. I've got to try and find my way past Will. I almost get a switchback done there, but that isn't working because he's basically got some nice clean lines on the next couple of corners. I give him the nudge treatment just like I did with Kiefer, just to really put some pressure on him. He goes straight to the inside for defensive purposes. I think Karts Against Humanity actually just gave me a little bit of a nudge there to kind of keep my speed up, so thanks, mate. I appreciate that. I start chasing Will through these hairpins here, accidentally give him a nudge that, you know, catapults him into the distance. He starts shaking his helmet around a bit, as if to say, like, you're kind of bumping me around here, but I'm just doing whatever I can to catch up to him. I'm getting so desperate, I'm even resorting to human DRS on an inside track, because in my head, I've completely forgotten about everyone else, and I thought that Will was the leader of the race. I'm starting to look for any opportunity I can find, and I'm not really finding it here, but I managed to throw it down the inside here. I state my case, I hold my line firm coming to the down ramp, and I manage to just lock him out and take the position. I pump my fist because I'm ecstatic now, but I have accidentally fooled myself into thinking I'm in the lead of this race, and that's going to break my heart at the end. About a lap later, I'm put into a bit of a precarious situation when the race suddenly goes to red flag and I have to stop with those two right behind me as an aftermath of their attack. So I need to make sure on the restart that I get a good start so that they don't find a way through me. Fortunately, as proceedings went back to normal, I was able to keep my position. They didn't get a jump on me, which meant that all I had to do now was hold steady and keep my current position, which again, I thought was first. It wasn't first, but I'm in the mentality that I'm defending first, which means that I am driving incredibly carefully, refusing to make mistakes, and just generally trying to bring it home, which means that the gap between me and the actual leaders is a bit big, so it's actually a while before I see anyone again. Right here, I've caught up to the back of Josh Bates, who I accidentally give a little bit of a nudge going through this hairpin because I didn't really estimate where he was going to turn. He actually let me through at every opportunity he could because he was a backmarker in this race, but he was incredibly courteous to the leaders. I really appreciate that. Thank you, man. You really helped to make this race a bit less of a mess than the last Coventry race I had was. Did you see that flash of green? Is that Ryan Goes Karting I see before me? Oh, you know it is, and 4 laps later, I've closed the distance to him, where he's decided to go on the defensive even though he's been lapped.
Come on, Ryan. Come on, you had your revenge. Don't do this to me, brother. Come on.
If you're wondering revenge for what exactly, I'm of course referring to the Birmingham race, where I got in front of him on lap 14 and absolutely ruined his day. He still hasn't forgiven me for that, even though he ruined my race in Leicester, so he's still trying to hold me behind him because he thinks it's kind of funny. But don't worry, I still find a gap straight through on the inside, which means I'm able to successfully lap him and continue my race relatively unhindered. I also need to get LeFrog out of my way again because I've caught up to the back of him and he's proven to be a bit of a defensive pain in the arse as well. But fortunately, he goes deep through this corner, or maybe he was just letting me through considering how wide he pulled to the left right there. If he was letting me through, thank you. If not, why did you defend for so long, man? Ah well, I can't really complain. I've caught up to the back of Josh again here, and trust me, that's something special, being able to lap both Ryan and Josh in the same race, because these are the guys that got me into karting. Josh fortunately doesn't put up much of a fight because he knows he's been lapped, which means I'm able to get nice and clear in the front. I am feeling very good about myself because, again, I've forgotten exactly what position I'm in. Right here, I spot the marshal stood on the apex of the corner, which absolutely means he's about to throw the flag, and we are on the final lap of the race. I start catching up to, I believe, one of the Joshes again. There were many Joshes on this grid today, to be honest. I start gaining some insane ground on him to the point where I basically covered a corner's worth of distance immediately. I'm pretty sure he's going to see me coming and immediately let me pass because, again, that's what he did every time. He goes deep into this corner, lets me straight through without any trouble. Again, I can't thank you enough for that. That is a practice that more people should do. Now, do you see that guy in the red suit just ahead of me? I completely forgot about him, and as I round this corner, I'm about to see that the checkered flag is already waving. In this moment, everything came crashing down on me because I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, believed I was in the lead, when in reality, this guy in front of me was actually ahead.
Stop the backing unless I got. Oh no! I came second! I thought I was first the whole time! Oh, that's heartbreaking!
You want to know what's even more heartbreaking than that? I wasn't even on the podium. There were 3 guys ahead of me in that race, and I completely forgot about all of them, and it basically ripped my heart out of my chest. But for now, it's time to pull into the pits after an admittedly great race, and I'll give you my closing thoughts on the whole thing. It's obviously a bit of a wounder when you lose track of what position you're in, only to cross the line and find out you did a lot worse than you believed. But that is not the most important thing in all of this. P4 is still a great result given the combined experience of all the drivers on the track, and it was one of the cleanest and most enjoyable team sport races I've ever been a part of. It was also great to meet the kinds of people mental enough to subscribe to Perico Karting and chat to everyone who stayed behind after the race about what happened during, to what's going on in Formula 1, and everything in between. If I ever figure out how the hell to host actual community races, I'll be sure to do so in the future. Now, the next video coming up will be the 10k Q&A, which I will schedule to upload while I'm out in sunny Cyprus. Yes, Perico's going on vacation, and you better believe I'm going to look for some karting action while I'm over there. Until next time.